Your calm doesn't fool me. I've seen that stillness many times. The jaw loosens, the shoulders drop, the voice sounds soft. But inside there's a dull noise, a hum that never rests. It isn't peace, it's exhaustion. It isn't serenity, it's the habit of lowering your head. It isn't acceptance, it's silent surrender. Today we're going to talk about what no one explained to you properly. Don't confuse peace with resignation. Because resignation dresses up as maturity, as I don't argue anymore, as that's just how things are, as why make a fuss, and while it looks like calm, it erases you from the inside. Before we continue, I'm very curious to know where in the world you're joining from and what time it is for you. I'd love to read you in the comments. I want you to imagine a dim room. On the table, a cup of tea that's already gone cold. On the sofa, you with an "I'm fine" that not even your body believes. Outside, there are no shouts, no doors slamming, no drama. Everything looks tidy. But if someone turns off the background music, you can hear the real noise. That, "not this," you repeat quietly to yourself and swallow every day so everything keeps working. You ask for silence to have peace, when what you need is a voice to return to yourself. Authentic peace is oxygen. It fills you, clears you, makes room for you. Resignation is apnea. It looks like silence, but it suffocates you slowly. Peace lets you look things in the eye. Resignation asks you to lower your gaze. Peace invites you to choose. Resignation pushes you to endure. Peace nourishes desires. Resignation files them away. And no, they aren't abstract concepts. They feel different on the skin. Peace leaves the body light. Resignation leaves centuries of fatigue. You've been told many times that maturing is talking less, tolerating more, enduring without complaining. You've been rewarded for carrying the procession inside, for putting on a good face, for not bothering anyone, for taking responsibility for what isn't yours. But peace isn't a prize for enduring the unendurable. It's the result of living in coherence. And coherence sometimes makes noise on the outside to bring silence inside. I'm going to give you vivid images, concrete scenes, so your mind and your body can finally tell what is peace and what is resignation. Because once you see it clearly, you won't be able to keep treating yourself the same. Your partner shows up late for the third time and doesn't tell you. Resignation sounds like this. "It's fine. I'll get used to it." The gesture is small. You shrink, you change the subject, you smile by reflex. Peace, on the other hand, sounds like clarity. "I need you to let me know if you're running late. If there's no heads up, I won't wait. I'm going to bed." And then you do what you say. There are no shouts, no endless explanation, no chasing. There's a serene boundary that returns you to yourself. Your mother throws the usual comment that reduces you to the child you were. You've never known how to choose. Resignation is staying quiet and pretending it doesn't hurt. You laugh out of obligation and swallow the thorn. Peace is placing a clean distance. That phrase hurts me. If we keep down that path, I'm leaving. I'd rather talk about something else or see each other another day. It isn't a war with your mother. It's an agreement with yourself. At work, they pile on 2 extra tasks because you can always handle it. Resignation justifies itself. "Sure, I'll get them done. No worries." You stay late, your back creaks, your mind shuts down. Peace replies, "I won't make it today. I can deliver one tomorrow, the other on Thursday. If it's urgent, let's reorder priorities." Peace has structure, not excuses. It knows how to say no to protect the yes that matters. I want you to notice the internal language you use when you choose peace. If under your silence there's fear of the other person's reaction, it isn't peace. If under your smile there's shame about making someone uncomfortable, it isn't peace. If under your "it's nothing" there's a desire to cry, it isn't peace. If under your "that's life" there's a grief swept under the rug, it isn't peace. Resignation feels like something you swallow without chewing. It leaves you heavy and mute. Genuine peace requires emotional discipline. It isn't a magical state, it's training. It's practiced in ordinary conversations, in daily gestures, in the decision not to dramatize, but not to minimize either. Peace is describing, not embellishing, deciding, not begging, holding, not faking. Resignation, on the other hand, feeds on three habits: avoiding, postponing, justifying. You avoid conflict because you confuse boundaries with rejection. You postpone decisions until time decides for you. You justify the other person so you don't have to see reality and, by the way, you justify yourself so you can stay installed in what dims you. I've accompanied many women who arrived saying, "I just want peace." 10 minutes later, we discovered what they wanted was not to feel. They had confused anesthesia with serenity. They told me, "I don't argue anymore. I don't expect anything anymore. It doesn't even hurt anymore." And I, carefully, offered this possibility. What you call peace is an ice that protects you from pain, but also separates you from life. Because when you shut off pain, you shut off joy too. True peace doesn't anesthetize, it regulates. It lets you feel without overflowing, act without hurting yourself, withdraw without disappearing. A clinical image that helps. The nervous system has two very primary impulses in the face of threat: fight or flight. There are two others, less mentioned: freeze and please. Freeze masquerades as peace. You go. Still, nobody sees you react. It looks like it doesn't affect you. Pleasing also passes itself off as peace. You yield, concede, agree, so everything will be okay. But inside, you're still under threat. Regulated peace shows in your ability to choose. Sometimes you fight with respect. Sometimes you leave. Sometimes you stay and negotiate. Sometimes you say no. Sometimes you say yes. You don't repeat an automatic pattern. You respond from presence. I want us to return for a moment to the first scene. That cold cup of tea, and you saying, "I'm fine." I'm going to invite you to move your body 1 centimeter toward the truth. Place your hand on your chest and ask yourself, without detours, what do I truly need? Maybe you need to sleep. Maybe you need to finally cry for that loss. Maybe you need to ask for forgiveness or ask for help. Maybe you need to leave a place where you only stay out of panic. Maybe you need to stay and speak as you've never dared. Whatever comes up, don't argue with it right away. Let it exist. Valuable decisions begin as a whisper, not as a manifesto. There's a recurring scene in many lives: the Sunday afternoon that feels like Sunday at 3 in the afternoon on Wednesday. That flat sadness, that "I don't want to start the week like this," that feeling that life is running over you. When resignation rules, you use that time to distract yourself. Phone, series, something sweet, shopping, empty conversation. When peace is in charge, you use that hour to recalibrate. You organize the essential, cancel what doesn't fit, prepare what sustains you. Write 3 lines to name the emotion and choose 1 concrete gesture for Monday. You don't change the world, you change direction. Peace is a direction. Resignation is a stagnation. And now I want to tell you Mara's story. Mara said, "I don't have the energy to fight." Her partner was kind, funny, but avoidant. Postponed conversations, diluted. Commitments, promised and forgot. Mara, who came from volcanic relationships, felt relief in the lack of drama. "It's calm," she said. Until the calm became hollow. They didn't argue, but they didn't truly choose each other either. She called it peace. One day, at breakfast, she heard herself saying, "I don't expect anything anymore." She said it with a sad pride, like someone who achieves a self-control record. But that phrase kept echoing. She began to see that expecting nothing was a way not to ask for what she needed so she wouldn't risk being denied. Expecting nothing was a shell, not a virtue. That afternoon, in a low voice, she told her partner, "I love you. And to love well, I need a project, time that's kept, words that become actions. I won't force you. If it's not here, it will be elsewhere. But I do expect. I do desire. I do take risks." There wasn't a big fight. There was truth. A week later, They ended things tenderly. It hurt. But that same night, Mara slept straight through. For the first time in months, the bed didn't feel enormous. That wasn't resignation. It was peace. You arrive at peace when you stop negotiating with reality. When you look at what is, not what you fantasize. When you no longer confuse giving time with wasting it. When you distinguish between accepting and enduring. Accepting is looking at the fact and reorienting your life. Enduring is covering your eyes and holding out until you can't anymore. Accepting hurts briefly, enduring hurts long. If right now you find yourself installed in a, "I don't want trouble, I get it." Conflict is terrifying when you associate it with shouting, humiliation, and chaos. I offer you another image. Conflict as a bridge. On one side, you with your needs. On the other, the world with its limits. The bridge isn't crossed by running or shoving. It's crossed step by step and with a concrete voice. Learning to converse without stepping on yourself, or stepping on the other, is an art, and it's a lot like breathing. You inhale what you feel, you exhale what you say. You inhale the fact, you exhale the request. You inhale the other's no, you exhale your own decision. When the bridge doesn't exist, peace isn't possible. You're left with resigning or exploding. When the bridge is built, peace finds a way through. I'm going to leave you with phrases that don't set fires and don't erase you. They're stopcocks, not hammers. Right now I can't, and I don't want to commit to something I wouldn't keep. I need clarity, not open-ended promises. I can continue if we return to respect. If not, we end it here. I don't want to convince you, I want to take care of myself. This pace doesn't work for me. I hear your no. Mine is this. Notice, none of them leans on blame or drama. They don't accuse, they don't make anyone kneel, they don't beg, they draw the edge. There's an ugly confusion that turns even the strongest into dependence, believing that peace depends on other people's behavior. That's why you devote so much energy to managing others' moods, avoiding triggers, maintaining impeccable manners, predicting micro-reactions. Exhausted, you say, "I just want peace," as if the world's obedience had to grant it to you. Peace starts the other way around, when you stop controlling what isn't yours and assume what is. You can't guarantee you'll be understood, but you can guarantee you'll be understandable. You can't guarantee you'll never be hurt, but you can guarantee you won't hurt yourself just to stay. You can't guarantee the other will change, but you can guarantee you won't betray yourself so everything stays the same. Peace also has a time and place. It feels like going to bed and sensing the bed receives you instead of swallowing you. It feels like a simple meal in silence without punishing your thoughts. It feels like looking at a hard message and not responding from the wound, but from a body that breathes. It feels like canceling a plan because you need to stay with yourself. It looks like keeping your doctor's appointment, doing that overdue errand, paying that bill that's been chasing you. Peace is built out of concrete things. Papers in order, clear accounts, a clear mind, a made bed. It sounds prosaic, but the everyday is the scaffolding of the emotional. Resignation makes you chaotic. Peace makes you practical. I don't want to leave out spirituality, that wide word. There are practices that fill you with true calm, praying, meditating, walking. And there are rituals that anesthetize, repeating mantras to avoid deciding, trusting the universe to avoid acting, lighting candles to avoid speaking. The spirituality that adds brings you back to the world with more clarity and compassion. The one that subtracts separates you from the world and from yourself. Peace is landing. Resignation is floating. I want to propose an intimate exercise. Close your eyes for a moment, bring your attention to your breath. Name aloud, softly, a situation you call peace and suspect is resignation. Name it without adornment. I'm staying with someone who doesn't choose me. I work in a place that dries me out. I talk to myself like I hate myself. Then ask your body where you feel it. Maybe the chest, the stomach, the throat. Place a hand there. Say, "I see you." Then state a small, concrete, doable action in the next 48 hours that brings you closer to real peace. It might be a clear message, a medical appointment, a conversation where you ask, a resignation, a walk to think, a time boundary, a no you've been postponing. Write it down. Do it. Peace doesn't arrive by magical thinking. It arrives when your life rearranges around what you know is true. Let's step into a sensitive area. Self-deception. It's a fine craft. You know how to tell yourself beautiful stories to justify what hurts you. They don't text because they're shy. They won't define things because they're scared by the intensity of what they feel. They don't post photos with me because they prefer a private life. They don't pay me on time because they trust me too much. They don't listen because they're stressed. I don't keep my promises to myself because I'm too demanding. Self-deception sometimes dresses up as empathy. You excuse the other so you don't have to act. Peace prefers a raw truth to a kind lie. It prefers, they don't love me the way I need to if I wait a little longer. It prefers, I'm scared to leave to, I'm calm here. It prefers an imperfect decision to the toxic comfort of keeping afloat. I want you to hear this sentence with all your attention. The opposite of peace isn't conflict, it's incoherence. You can live in peace within a conflict if you're being faithful to what you know is true. And you can live at war within apparent stillness if every day you betray yourself a little so as not to break anything. Incoherence builds a pressure that sooner or later bursts. And when it bursts, it explodes where you least expect it. In your body, in a panic attack, in a nameless sadness, in an outburst at the supermarket over a trifle, in an argument that didn't deserve that blaze. That's why peace is daily maintenance. Don't wait to have time. Create it. We women were taught to be simultaneous translators, to translate confusing gestures, ambiguous words, flimsy promises. I propose you drop that job. What happens if you take what you hear literally and respond from there? If they say, I'm not ready, you take it as, they're not ready, and act accordingly. If they say, I can't give you that, you hear it as a fact and decide. If there are no words or actions, you take the silence as an answer. This radical simplicity is a shortcut to peace. And fear? It's everywhere. If I speak, they'll leave me. If I say no, they'll reject me. If I go, I'll end up alone. If I set boundaries, they'll call me difficult. I'll tell you a secret. Those things sometimes happen. Sometimes they leave. Sometimes they judge you. Sometimes you're alone for a while. But there are fears that come true and are still better than a life in resignation. Because the solitude that arrives from protecting your dignity is a bridge. The company that asks you to renounce yourself is a pit. Because other people's judgment weighs for a while, your own judgment weighs forever. Because the discomfort of a boundary is something you move through. The discomfort of betraying yourself doesn't switch off. Let's talk about guilt. That old acquaintance that appears when you stop fulfilling the role assigned to you. Guilt whispers that you're bad if you choose yourself. I want for you to remember this. Guilt speaks the language of the past. Peace speaks the language of the present. Guilt tells you, go back to your role. Peace tells you, go back to your center. When guilt shows up, don't fight it with endless arguments. Breathe it, name it, and take the step you already decided on. Guilt shrinks with coherent action. If you stay bargaining with it, it grows. I can't not mention the body again. The insomnia that visits you when you live in resignation isn't random. The body protests when you force it to hold up a story that doesn't hold. The skin speaks, the stomach speaks, the head throbs with messages. In peace, you sleep differently. In peace, you eat differently. In peace, your schedule orders itself because you finally distinguish what's important from what isn't. In peace, desire appears. The urge to learn, to create, to tend your plants, to meet the people who feed you. Resignation takes away your curiosity. Peace gives it back. Maybe, today you can't make the big move. Maybe there are children, mortgages, commitments that make it not as simple as, I'm leaving. That's okay. Don't reduce peace to a move or a slammed door. Peace is also built within what is, with micro decisions that change the experience. Talking to someone who can guide you, tidying a room, telling one truth in a single relationship, dropping a habit that dims you, going for a walk every afternoon without your phone, saving for your plan, training to open another door. Peace isn't a final destination. It's the cumulative effect of choosing yourself in small ways many times. I want you to write yourself a brief letter. Start like this. I won't confuse peace with disappearing again. Follow with 3 commitments you can keep this week. Small, realistic, nothing epic. I'll reply tomorrow, not instantly, to that message that dysregulates me. I won't accept meetings at the time I train. I won't speak to myself with contempt. If I'm disrespected, I'll leave. Sign with your name. Put it where you'll see it upon waking. Peace needs reminders because resignation rules by inertia. There's a new kind of beauty that appears when you choose real peace. Your laughter returns without a debt. A no comes out with music in the background. You catch yourself setting the table for yourself, not because someone's coming. Your home smells like an open book, clean sheets, freshly made coffee. You call the person you miss without asking them to fix your day. You look in the mirror and see a woman slower on the inside, not because she's stopped, but because she no longer runs against herself. I won't sugarcoat it. There will be those who don't understand this change. They'll say you're cold, distant, strange. That's normal when you stop holding up the theater. When you stop overacting to avoid silences. When you decide peace is worth more than approval, people adapt. And those who don't, reposition themselves. When the outside noise doesn't drag you back to the old choreography, the inside becomes a place it feels good to stay. I'll leave you with a final image to close. You're on a beach at dawn. The sea isn't flat, but it doesn't threaten. The waves come, go, breathe. You walk along the shore. What do you do with what brushes your ankles? You don't shout at the sea to stop. You don't swallow the water so it won't exist. You adjust your step. You find the depth that holds you up without covering you. That's peace. Adjusting your step without betraying yourself. Resignation, on the other hand, would be sitting in the sand, turning your back, and pretending there's no water. One brings you back to your body. The other takes you out of yourself. Today, I'm not asking you to revolutionize your life. I'm asking for one gesture of respect toward yourself that you can keep, just one. A gesture is a crack of light. Through that crack, the air comes in. Through that air, your voice returns. And when your voice returns, the whole house rearranges. Thank you for staying to the end. If these words made sense to you, share them with the woman you most love in silence. Tell her she isn't alone. Tell her peace doesn't shout, but it shows. Tell her not to confuse herself again. Her calm deserves to be true, not a disguise. And when you go to sleep tonight, ask yourself softly, like a prayer, did what I did bring me back to myself? If the answer is yes, even if it stings a little, you're on the right path. If the answer is no, it's okay. Tomorrow is another chance. Peace isn't offended by starting over. It waits every time you return. And you, this time, are going to return.